Hello, today we're doing an oil change on a 2008 Hyundai Santa Fe 3.3 liter V6. This will be a full synthetic oil change with 1 quart of Duralube in exchange for one of the 6 quarts that we use for the standard oil change. I'm going to show you the supplies and tools you need to complete this job, and once it'll be step by step, and you should be ready to go once you've completed this service. Please like and subscribe if you like what's going on here, and good luck to you. Okay, these are the supplies that you're going to need today to do the full synthetic oil change. We have 5 quarts of Mobil 1 full synthetic 5W20. I use high mileage because I'm over 75,000, but you can also use the standard full synthetic. We have a Fram TG9999 full synthetic oil filter or standard oil, and then Duralube engine treatment to protect and coat the inside of the motor. I recommend using this every 3rd oil change. I've used it in all my vehicles, and it really does protect and quiet down the motor. Really good product. We have a funnel, a drain pan 7 quart, 17mm open end wrench to take off the drain plug, 10mm socket with extension and ratchet to take off the top plastic cover that goes over the engine bay. And these are the supplies that you'll need to do this oil change. Okay, step 1 is we'll take off the top engine cover housing. There's 6 bolts to remove this. There's one here, 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 and the back one there. You remove all 6 using the 10mm socket. Okay, the next step is to go ahead and pull this off, this top plastic cover. Remove that and set that aside somewhere. Then, this is our oil cap. We'll go ahead and unscrew that, loosen that up so we can let the pressure out of the motor and let the oil flow out the bottom of the drain cap, or drain plug, I'm sorry. And then we're going to go ahead and release some of the pressure on the oil filter. It's right here. So what we're going to do is just unscrew it a little bit, not too much, just in order to relieve some pressure. You don't want to go too high on this because you'll have oil that will back and flow over the edge of this, and then you'll get oil all over the motor, which you don't want to do. So just go ahead and give this a couple turns. Just to start to loosen it up a little bit. And you can see the oil will just start to kind of be on the seam of the thing, and then you're good to go. The next step is to go ahead and pull out the dipstick a little bit and leave that just like that. So that way, if somebody comes by, knows that you'll be doing an oil change on this and not to mess with it, and just for your own reference. Your next step is going to be to go ahead and remove the drain plug and drain all the oil out of here. I have the car up on ramps just to give better flow out of the, let the oil flow out of there better. But on the bottom here, right underneath this here, is your drain plug. So you'll take your 17mm open end wrench, put it right on there, and then you'll go ahead and release the pressure off there, unscrew it slowly, and let the oil drain into the drain pan until it's just down to a very small dribble every couple minutes. You get all the old oil out of there, because this does take 6 quarts, and you want to be able to get all the old oil out. Alright, the next step is to go ahead and remove the oil filter. what I recommend doing is using the bag that came with all of your supplies, and go ahead and slowly lift this out and put everything in the bag. By doing this, you prevent oil from getting all over your motor, and the inside piece is very loose sometimes and can fall off. So that's why I recommend putting everything in this bag and then lifting it out of there once you get everything in the bag to prevent oil spillage. So we'll go ahead and slowly unscrew this the rest of the way. Alright, now we'll go ahead and pull this up really slow. And right now, while the oil is draining, we're going to go ahead and we've released all the pressure out of there, so now more oil will go down into the pan. And then from here on out, all the oil should be able to drain out of the SUV. So just go ahead, let that drain for a minute. If you wiggle this top piece, see, there's the oil. Let that go into your bag, and this is the first part of it. And then the second part that's still in there is the oil filter itself. So go ahead and turn that a little bit. That pops right out. And put that in your bag too. So now we got both the parts in the bag. Fold up the bag, pull it out of the engine compartment, and then we'll move on to the next step. Alright, so the next, here is the oil filter housing that the oil filter goes around. I threw away the old one, the oil filter that came out that was in the bag. So you have this piece here, which is the screw-on cover, and this goes right inside of that. It kind of twists in there, but it doesn't really hold in any way. It just kind of sits in there. So the two gaskets that come with the oil filter right here, the one goes right around the top here and seals it right up on top. The second one is on the very bottom of this right here. So you'll have to remove both of these and then put on the new ones there. I know I didn't in the beginning tool list recommend any tools, because everything works a little bit different for removing these. I just grab a little old screwdriver flathead and then a cutters to cut it off. You kind of got to pry that off, and then you'll pry apart the other one, and then you'll replace them with the new ones. I recommend oiling them up real good with some oil after. Just use the new motor oil and just put a little bit around each one of them when you put it on there, so it can get a good seal when you go ahead and put it back into the motor. Alright, then we'll move on to the next step. Alright, we've got a very slow drip there. There's not much more coming out. We're going to go ahead and wipe around the area, and then we'll put our drain plug right back in there. Go ahead and wipe our area around there pretty good. We're still going to get a little bit of oil dripping down, but that's normal. So go ahead and wipe it pretty good. Grab your oil plug and start it with the bare hands before using the wrench. Alright, turn your threads back and forth. Get it snug, and then you'll use your wrench. And then snug it back on there. You don't over tighten it. Just get it tight enough where it's nice and snug, where you get some tension on it, and then it stops tightening. You don't want to wrench on it too hard. Just a nice firm tug, tight down, and then you'll be good to go. Alright, we've got the drain plug back in, and I've gone ahead and replaced this little rubber seal here, and I've put the new rubber seal right on here. I've also lubricated them with some new oil. We have our oil filter. There's also a little rubber seal in the inside on this side. Lubricate that with some oil. Flip it over. Lubricate the inside rubber seal right here. And then also I take a little bit of oil and just put it around the paper cone filter a little bit. Lubricate that up good. It doesn't have to be doused in oil, but just take a little bit because you don't want it super dry going in on a dry start. So just get a little bit of oil on your hand and lubricate that up a little bit. Alright, so then the next step is, it doesn't matter which direction you put this thing in. What you're going to do is you just set it in right in the dead center, and then you push down on it and you'll feel it seal around. There's a little thing on the bottom around that grabs onto it as you push it down. So go ahead and just turn it a little bit and put while you're pushing down, and make sure it's sealed in there and that it's not moving around on you very good. So it's got a nice tight fit, and that little rubber gasket is grab the bottom of that and center it as good as possible. Alright, the next step, there's probably a few different ways that you can do this, but the way that's always worked the best for me is to take this here and center it on the inside of this. It'll pop down in there. There's really nothing that holds it on, but it just kind of pops in there, and kind of turn it and push down and make sure that it's centered the best you can. You lift up this top piece, bring it down over, and then set it right down inside. Go back and forth a couple of times and make sure that it's centered. And when you go ahead and screw this down, everything should go nice and smooth until when you get to the rubber seal, you'll feel it to start to grab a little bit, and then continue to go ahead and turn it all the way down tight until it stops. Alright, so I got it all down and it stopped nice and tight. We have our drain plug back in, and now we'll be next on to filling the motor. Alright, so now go ahead and take your 5 quarts of Mobil 1, put your funnel down into where the oil cap goes on. They usually don't sit up very well, so I would recommend maybe getting a couple of paper towels or whatever. I use the blue shop rags, and I put a few around there as I'm filling it, just so you get less splash over, because these bigger jugs right here, sometimes they tend to the oil tends to jump around a little bit when you're pouring it in. It's a lot harder to pour unless it has the easy pour spout on there, and you tend to get a little bit more splashing on that. So I'd go ahead and recommend just putting some towels around, and then we're going to go ahead and pour in this whole 5 quarts, and then next we'll go over and pour the 1 quart of Duralube engine treatment in there. Okay, just finished up pouring the rest of the Mobil 1, all 5 quarts in there. And now this will be the 6th quart. We'll put the Duralube engine treatment in on top of the oil that we just put in. Alright, we just got done filling up the motor. We'll go ahead and put the oil cap back on. Go ahead and give it some turns so it clicks. And we'll push our dipstick back down. grab our housing. We'll go ahead and center it back over the 6 bolts that she came off from. It's best to center it over the top of the oil cap first to get it as centered as you possibly can, and then it will drop right over the screw holes. Take your 10mm socket. The 2 bolts that come out go in the center, so go ahead and start them by hand. And then your 4 remaining smaller ones go around the outside edges. Start them too by hand. Make sure it's centered up good, and then go ahead and tighten them down just so they're snug. Okay, so we have everything back together, all 6 screws screwed in there. Our oil cap's back on, dipstick's down, all of our tools are put back and in order, and the drain plug is in, and oil filter is in and centered and down tight. So we're clear to start. Alright, I've also go ahead and put the oil change sticker. I've increased it 5,000 miles from my current mileage. I also put a little number 1 right up there, so I know that it's my first oil change since putting the new Duralube in there. Okay, we started the engine. Check around the oil filter. No leaks there. Check down underneath, no leaks there. Now we'll shut off the motor and check the oil level. Okay, so now we have the engine off, and we'll go ahead and pull the dipstick, clean it off, and then check the oil level. So go ahead and pull. Wipe it down. Put it back down in there. And then we'll pull it back out and check our level. And it might be hard to see it on there, but we are right underneath the second bubble, which there's a bubble for low and a bubble for high. F for full, L for low, and we are right on the full bubble, so it's right full all the way where it needs to be. It will also come up just a little bit more too as the engine settles in and the new oil settles in there. It'll probably come up a little bit higher on the dipstick too, so not much, but all right, we'll go ahead and put that back down in. All right. So that concludes oil change on a 2008 Hyundai Santa Fe 3.3 liter V6. I hope you found the video very informative. There's not much to it, but if this can help you, then that's why I'm making these videos, to help everybody that doesn't want to bring it to a shop and waste a bunch of money. You can do this stuff yourself. It's not very difficult. The total amount for parts and everything I paid was $49 to do a full synthetic oil change on an SUV with Duralube engine treatment. I picked up all my supplies at Walmart. It's pretty much the cheapest way to go to save some bucks. And I wish you all the best luck on doing this yourself. I hope it's been informative again, and have a good day. Please like and subscribe. Thanks. Comp Extremes.